Disney's Snow White remake is spiraling. Rachel Zegler's controversial response to the viral boycott has left everyone stunned. What did she say that sent the internet into an uproar? Could this movie flop despite all the buzz? And why is Disney scaling back its marketing and limiting Zegler's appearances? Stick around as we uncover why this woke Snow White might signal disaster for Disney's future. Disney has long been one of Hollywood's most influential studios, expanding its empire far beyond film. Under CEO Bob Iger, the company has championed DEI initiatives, but as Disney doubles down on these agendas, it's becoming clear that a growing segment of the public is disengaging from this messaging, especially as it increasingly shapes their entertainment. One particular project at the forefront of controversy right now is the upcoming Snow White remake, set for release in 2025 and starring Rachel Zegler. The film has quickly become a lightning rod for criticism, with much of the backlash focusing on the reimagined story and its portrayal of the classic character. Zegler, often seen as the face of the film, has found herself at the center of a public relations nightmare. As she scrambles to manage the mounting negativity, rather than letting the criticism slide, Zegler has engaged in damage control, attempting to reframe the narrative, though this has sparked even more discussion. The controversy isn't just about Zegler's reactions. Director Mark Webb and writer Greta Gerwig have defended the film's direction, but their efforts have fallen flat, especially as Disney makes drastic cuts to its marketing budget, revealing their concerns over public reception. On top of that, Disney is limiting Rachel Zegler's public appearances ahead of the film's release. Events like her Oscars appearance and other major engagements, some scheduled for Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve, have been cancelled altogether. This drastic shift in strategy speaks volumes about Disney's internal worries. Meanwhile, Zegler has been increasingly vocal about the ongoing boycott of Snow White, openly expressing frustration toward those participating in it. Rather than addressing the concerns head-on, Zegler has lashed out, claiming that the backlash stems from a deeper, personal animosity toward the modern version of Snow White, which she believes represents a stronger, more empowered female character. Her reactions have only intensified the debate and underscored the growing divide between Disney's attempts to modernize and the audience's response to those changes. Rachel Zegler recently made a bold statement defending her portrayal of Snow White, calling out those she sees as pretend fans, people who claim to love the original fairy tale but criticize her version of the character. According to Zegler, these critics are pretending to embrace the traditional Snow White stories, whether from Disney or the Brothers Grimm, only to reject the updated version of the character as a powerful warrior-like figure. Zegler argues that this new depiction of Snow White is essential to making her relevant to today's audience, especially by making the character more relatable to modern women. She contends that the film reflects female empowerment and celebrates diversity, an aspect she believes has been unfairly criticized. In her defense, Zegler also took aim at critics who've pledged to boycott the film, claiming that many of them will end up watching it despite their protests. She's confident the movie will ultimately succeed at the box office, as she believes the critical voices are part of a larger political narrative. Zegler dismisses claims that the film's lackluster performance is due to its controversial themes of diversity and female empowerment, suggesting that those who oppose the movie's messaging are simply misogynistic. To Zegler, those who reject the film's values are out of touch with society's direction, and her unwavering belief in the film's success leads her to dismiss the critics as irrelevant. However, many viewers see Zegler's comments as part of a recurring trend among certain Hollywood figures who attribute any backlash to oversimplified narratives. Her remarks have only sparked more backlash, particularly from an audience weary of hearing the same justification for underperforming films. Zegler's previous projects have often failed at the box office, leading many to be skeptical about the success of Snow White, and they view her comments as out of touch with the concerns of the film's critics, further damaging her fragile reputation. This dismissal of criticism, coupled with her strong defense of the film, paints Zegler as increasingly detached from public sentiment and blind to the growing discontent. For many, her confidence in the film's success feels hollow, as evidence suggests that audiences are tired of the same narratives being pushed by Hollywood studios. Snow White could very well be the latest example of a movie that fails to connect with its intended audience. The artful storyteller, Rachel Zegler's recent comments about critics of Snow White 2025 have raised eyebrows, especially when she accused them of pretending to be fans of the original story to complain about the new version. Zegler has been vocal about her frustrations, often playing the victim card by claiming critics are attacking her performance in the movie without understanding the sacrifices she made to bring the role to life. She pointed to the physical toll of wearing the costume for long hours, emphasizing that her dedication should earn her respect. But many see this as an attempt to deflect from the larger criticisms of the film. By positioning herself as a martyr, Zegler shifts the focus to her personal struggles rather than addressing the broader concerns about the film's direction. Zegler goes further by blaming what she calls toxic men and now toxic women for trying to discredit the film's modern, empowered take on Snow White. She argues this version of the character is far stronger and more capable than the traditional portrayal. In doing so, she seems to imply that the original Snow White was weak, a controversial interpretation, considering the character's long-standing portrayal as kind, gentle, and resilient in her own right. Zegler's assertion that this version of Snow White is long overdue and necessary for modern audiences has raised concerns about her disregard for the source material, which many fans hold dear. Additionally, Zegler's claim that Snow White earns her name after surviving a blizzard has raised eyebrows. Many see it as a bizarre attempt to justify radical changes to the character's lore. The original Snow White from the Brothers Grimm tale and Disney's 1937 classic is named for her fair white skin, an iconic trait of her. To suggest that surviving a blizzard is the new reason for the name feels like a stretch and adds to the perception that the filmmakers are distancing themselves from established Snow White lore to create something entirely new. Zegler's insistence that this new version of Snow White should be considered the norm is viewed by some as an attempt to overwrite tradition in favor of a more politically correct, modern-day version of the character. Critics remain skeptical of Zegler's confidence in the film's success. The reality is that Snow White 2025 has faced mounting backlash, and Disney's scaling back of its marketing budget is a serious concern about its financial performance. The studio's decision to limit the promotional campaign reflects underlying doubts among Disney executives who may have realized that the film's controversial changes, along with its mixed reception, could lead to disappointing box office returns. Zegler's optimism may be more of a defense mechanism than a true belief in the movie's potential, as it's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore the film's struggles. It seems unlikely to escape the growing public skepticism surrounding its release. Rachel's comments are a clear example of desperation as she tries to salvage Snow White 2025's image while also defending her portrayal of the character in increasingly defensive terms. Her final remarks about the name Snow White being earned by surviving a snowstorm seem to further distance this film from the original source material, presenting it as a new era for the character, one that she believes people should stop criticizing. Zegler also chastised the backlash online, dismissing it as copycatting and boldly claiming that those same critics would ultimately turn out to watch the film. She is confident that the film will not fail despite growing doubts surrounding it. But the elephant in the room is hard to ignore. Disney is struggling, and Snow White 2025 may not be the hit Zegler believes. With executives slashing the marketing budget, fears are rising that the film won't perform as expected. Zegler's statements may not be helping her cause. They seem to only exacerbate the issues fans already have with the film. The public sentiment is already divided, and with a new trailer coming soon, it remains to be seen whether Disney can reverse the negative momentum. So what do you think? Will Snow White 2025 break the mold and succeed? Or is it doomed to be another box office flop for Disney? Will Zegler's defense turn things around, or is she digging a deeper hole? The questions are piling up, and Disney is under pressure to deliver, especially with all the controversy. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the Snow White drama, hit that thumbs up button to support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon to stay updated as we cover all the latest Hollywood drama, including updates on Snow White 2025 and more. What's your take on all this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going.